Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Darrell Miller and Anthony Joshua are less than $1 million away from making a deal to fight in June. Greg Cohen, who promotes Miller, or co-promotes Miller, says that a deal is almost done. He's spoken to ESPN. We will go through those quotes. There is movement by the day on this, and it's coming to the sharp end now. But the guy who can get the fight now, if he wants it, is Dillian Whyte. He's got an offer in front of him, but if he doesn't take it, Miller is going to get the fight. That much is clear, so we'll go through the Miller stuff. There's also some comments in Ring TV who says a Dillian Whyte fight with Anthony Joshua for Wembley on April 13th is dead. And also, Darrell Miller, he's weighed in on the offer, and I'll get to those comments as well. Buckle in. Let's go. So speaking to ESPN here, Greg Cohen, he's told Dan Rafael, Eddie has made an offer and we'll see what happens. Obviously, for every fighter, promoter and manager, what's better than fighting for the heavyweight championship of the world? We've been discussing it for a while, but now we have an official offer. And Cohen said the first offer came about a week ago, but the sides have made a lot of progress and are much closer to a deal. Cohen continues, there has been substantial movement on the money and we're under $1 million apart at this point. And you may recall previously in the last 24 hours or so, there was talk that they were several $1 million apart. But obviously that gap is closing now and only less than $1 million away. Cohen said they have not yet worked out language for a rematch clause, which Joshua would have in the event he lost the optional defense, or the particulars on options that Matchroom Boxing would receive on future Miller fights. But Cohen, Salita, and Salita is Dimitri Salita, Miller's other co-promoter, and Hearn have a good relationship as Hearn has worked with them to put Miller's past 4 bouts on Matchroom Boxing cards. Cohen says fighting for the title against Joshua is everybody's goal, but the economics have to make sense. I'm hopeful we can get there. We're not there yet, but everybody is negotiating in good faith. There has been progress, but we just have to see if we can get there. I certainly would love to see Jarrell fight for the title against Joshua. It's Madison Square Garden. It would be in Jarrell's hometown. What's better than that? Okay, to recap there's an offer, they're less than $1 million apart and seemingly working closer to a deal. Dillian Whyte, he has an offer in front of him. It's an improved offer, reportedly north of £4 million. He has been saying in recent days he's not happy with what he's got and he feels that Joshua will be fighting Miller. Many people, including myself, believe that Dillian Whyte has been playing possum to some extent and he wants to really wring out as much money from Anthony Joshua. As he's a prize fighter, of course it's going to be his prerogative and that eventually a deal will get done. But Ring TV, it's got other thoughts on that. So it is saying, so this is Mike Coppinger down the bottom of this, with less than 11 weeks to go. April 13 is now dead for any possible fight with Whyte per sources. The fight could still happen at a later date, but Miller appears to have the inside track to landing the kind of opportunity he's long sought. So there's 2 ways to look at this, that actually perhaps Wembley is dead, but if Dillian Whyte was to accept it tomorrow and they announced it in a day or 2, well then obviously it would be on, but it is a shorter lead-in time. You may recall that both Eddie and Barry Hearn, especially Barry Hearn, were saying that they had to announce the fight with plenty of lead-in time, and he said December, the end of December, was even too late then because you had to promote the event and have all sorts of things in place. You had to have a long lead-in time. And now we're basically in February. So 11 weeks is a relatively short amount of time to fill a stadium, 90 to 100,000 people. And even then, if it is a Dillian Whyte fight with Anthony Joshua, there is some speculation among fans that it won't be a sellout. The last fight at Wembley, 83,000 with Alexander Povetkin, it wasn't a sellout. And there are some mitigating circumstances there, that it was coach packages and that people weren't sort of buying them, didn't want to take them up. But the reality is there's going to be coach packages again. So you could be looking at a situation where this fight also wouldn't sell out. But even then, 70, 80,000, if they could sell that many, that is still a great achievement. But as we're coming down to the sharp end of things right now, Miller's chances of getting the fight are increasing. If Dillian Whyte continues to press for a deal that may never come, He may miss out. And although he's got other opportunities, he may not get the Joshua fight. And who knows when they may rematch. But Darrell Miller, he has said in respect of the offer, so if you go over to Michael Benson's Twitter page, he's got the interview up from the Ringside Reporter. On the offer, he says it's not a bad offer. And that while he's trying to, push Joshua on the deal, all that sort of stuff, he's not going to push too hard because after all, he wants a title shot. And it's about legacy. He's prioritizing legacy over money. And, you can kind of, I sort of scoffed at that when I sort of heard that, because Darrell Miller has been all about trying to, cash a big paycheck, and he's been quite overt about that. So for him, it's, it's going to be a bit of both. It's legacy, getting a title shot, but also, his promoter, they're not just taking any offer because they're saying we want more. But Darrell Miller also on his Instagram page, a lot of people are in love with the fake rather than being fake boobs, fake butts, or even fake people, and their personalities are like this bozo Anthony G-String Joshua. One thing I always say, I've been real from the start. Do or die, so tell this clown to make up his mind so I know when to start my cheeseburger diet for this fall at Big Baby Promotions. Watch me work, hashtag and the new hashtag strap season, question mark, lots of them. And Dillian Whyte, want the fight, make your mind up, you holding up ugly beef patty in the face raccoon. Not really a great wordsmith, Darrell Miller, with the written word, but certainly talks a good trash game in real life. But yeah, he's effectively saying here, he wants Anthony Joshua, and Dillian Whyte, make up your mind. And in that interview with the Ringside Reporter, Miller reflected on that and said basically, if Whyte doesn't want the fight, he's driving a hard bargain, then it's effectively over to me to get a deal done and take the fight with Joshua, which he's willing to do. And remember, this fight would be at Madison Square Garden in June, sounds like the 1st of June, and it's in Miller's backyard. So that's got to be worth something, having the hometown advantage. It would be Anthony Joshua's first fight in the United States. So it's all there for Miller. I mean, that would be a fight where he doesn't have to travel. He's got home base. He's going to have a contingent of his own fans there. You can't really ask for too much more than that, especially when he's going to get paid millions of dollars here. We don't know the exact numbers, but he's not going to be a pauper after the fight. And obviously fighting for the title, trying to get, it's actually 3 belts plus the IBO. So that is, nothing to shake a stick at. And we've effectively had guys like Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder, and now Dillian Whyte saying that Joshua's not offering them enough money. But Miller's effectively saying, well, we're getting close now. It's not a bad offer. I'm not going to drive too hard a bargain because I want the title shot. I want to fight this guy, take his belts, take all 3, become a unified champion. And, eventually someone is going to, I'm sure they're all driving a hard bargain, but eventually someone's going to take the fight. So it's now over to Dillian Whyte. It's crunch time. If he doesn't like the offer, he can say no and walk away. And they're going to have to pull the trigger if it is going to be Wembley. But this is the update. So Darrell Miller says it's not a bad offer. Darrell Miller's promoter, Greg Cohen, says they're less than $1 million apart. It's really getting down to crunch time. And if Dillian Whyte doesn't like the offer, says no, Darrell Miller looks like he will snap it up and get a title shot in his backyard. What do you make of it all? Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.